Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being virtually here. My name is Marino, and I'm delighted to share insights from my research, which focuses on how language ideologies manifest in informal digital spaces where people learn languages. The title of this presentation, We Don't Say To-r Ó-nto, We Say To-r Ó-nto, is a real example I encountered in the TikTok videos that I analyzed for this particular study. So, well, let's talk about this study. My study specifically analyzed 60 TikTok English pronunciation teaching videos, and these videos were created by both L1 and L2 English speakers. The core purpose of this study was to examine how these videos perpetuate language ideologies of nativeness. Now, before diving into the study details, let's establish and unpack some key concepts from the literature. So what do we mean by language ideologies? I'm pretty sure you'll know this, but if you don't, well, language ideologies are socially and historically shaped beliefs about language. Importantly, they reflect and reinforce broader social power structures. These ideologies serve to legitimize dominant language norms and are frequently tied to social issues such as nationalism, racism, and social inequality. And a particularly pervasive ideology is the ideology of nativeness, which promotes monolingual standard language varieties. And within this framework, English from inner circles, such as from inner circle countries, such as US, UK, Australia, is often seen as superior, thereby reinforcing existing linguistic hierarchies. Now, building on the concept of nativeness, in the context of English language teaching, ELT, we have encountered the term native speakerism. I believe that is really prevalent in ELT. Native speakerism posits that native English speakers, particularly those from Western contexts, so as I said before, inner circle countries, are the ideal language models and better teachers. And this perspective problematically links language ability to national and racial identity. It also marginalizes non-native varieties of English and non-native English users and educators. Ultimately, it equates linguistic legitimacy solely with nativeness, often excluding the vast diversity of English users worldwide. Now, despite critiques of native speakerism, the native speaker model remains dominant in ELT. This is especially true in pronunciation teaching, where the nativeness principle encourages learners to mimic inner circle accents. This ideal sets unrealistic expectations of L2 learners and can negatively impact their linguistic self-perception. And there's also research that consistently showed that learners and teachers often favor American or British accents, influenced by things like curriculum requirements, media, cultural exposure, or the type of accents that are featured in the textbooks, for instance. Now, while formal educational settings have been well studied in this regard, informal spaces, particularly social media, and their role in shaping these attitudes and ideologies, or reinforcing these ideologies, have remained relatively unexplored until recently. And that's what my study is about, tries to contribute to. Now, social media platforms like TikTok have emerged as very important spaces for informal language learning. They, in fact, offer environments that are affordable, that are accessible and engaging. And these platforms are used for various aspects of L2 learning, including L2 skills development, like writing and pronunciation, intercultural communication and identity building as L2 users, fostering learners' autonomy and personalized learning. These are just some examples. Now, while prior research often focuses on how learners use these platforms, my study shifts the attention to the content itself. Specifically, I examined TikTok videos to understand how they might embed and circulate language ideologies with regard to English, such as native speakerism, which learners might passively absorb. This highlights an urgent need to promote critical digital literacies that stands for the ability to interrogate digital content and recognize how it might reproduce power and inequality. Now, so why TikTok? So launched internationally in 2017, TikTok is now one of the most downloaded apps in the world. Known for short-term videos, it's very popular for entertainment and self-expression and social activism, but also now for informal L2 teaching and informal L2 learning. And the platform's unique mimetic culture fosters imitation and remixes, as you might know. And I believe this characteristic could potentially reinforce certain ideologies by encouraging replication of specific language models and performance styles. That's what I looked into in this specific study. So drawing on multimodal critical discourse analysis and comparing L1 and L2 English instructors on TikTok, I investigated the platform's ideological functions, or rather the reproduction of ideologies in digital language teaching, in particular focusing on videos, as I said before, where instructors teach pronunciation. Now, my research questions were two. to what extent do English language instructors on TikTok embed and in turn reproduce dominant linguistic ideologies in their instructional videos through these very diverse practices, and what differences, if any, exist between the practices of L1 and L2 English speaking instructors on TikTok, and what linguistic and extra-linguistic strategies do they employ in the embedding of these ideologies. So now, in turning to the methods, for my methods, data was collected on November 15, 2024, using a neutral account to minimize algorithmic bias. So I never used this account before. I created for the purpose of the study. I applied selection criteria focusing on top 10 videos under 6 popular hashtags. So 3 for English learning in general, and 3 for English pronunciation. These were like the most common hashtags at the time, the most research hashtags at the time, resulting in 60 videos. So this sample included 30 videos by L1 English speakers. So basically 5 videos for each of the hashtags, and 30 videos by English speakers, so 5 videos again for each of the hashtags that I mentioned before. User identity was confirmed via video contact, like bios or linked profiles. If I could not find any information about if the speakers identified as L1 or L2 speakers of English, I did not collect those data. And privacy was ensured by anonymizing faces and removing usernames and any other details that would have made the TikTokers searchable online. Now, when it comes to the analysis, this involved several steps. Step 1 was a manual transcription and annotation of spoken content, multiple features like gestures, visuals, and sound effects, but also like about the actual content of the video. The participants, who was depicted, the case, for instance. When it comes to research question 1, I used semantic analysis to identify recurring discursive practices linked to language ideologies. So that was the focus. And a quantitative comparison using frequency percentages was conducted across L1 and L2 groups. For research question 2, I employed multimodal critical discourse analysis, MCDA, to explore how those practices are multimodally constructed. If you're not familiar with MCDA, I have not enough time, unfortunately, to go over this, but basically it draws on CDA, critical discourse analysis, to analyze how discourse reflects and reproduces power and ideologies, incorporating also the analysis of meaning making through different semiotic resources, such as visual, verbal, audio, and so on. Now, in turning to the analysis, before talking about the findings, a quick note on the video styles. So most videos were shot in vertical selfie mode, which is typical on TikTok, capturing the upper body and creating a sense of direct connection with the viewers, which in turn, apart from most of cases, the viewers are treated like they are the actual learners, the students. But some videos were also staged, used to stage fictional dialogues, like teacher-student skits, utilizing varied camera angles. And creators use both verbal and nonverbal strategies, gestures, tone, facial expressions, but also GIFs, to stimulate a personal connection with the viewers. Now, in turning to the finding for research question 1, I observed 3 dominant discursive practices across the videos that reflect mainstream linguistic ideologies reinforcing the native speaker norm, as shown in table 1. Benchmarking native pronunciation, it's the first, is one of the themes. I just want to clarify that some teams were presented that were featured in one video could feature multiple teams, just something that I would like to clarify. So in terms of benchmarking native pronunciation, this was present in 57% of L1 instructor videos and 47% of L2 instructor videos. While established native speaker legitimacy was found in 33% of L1 instructor videos, but notably 0 in L2 instructor videos. And framing non-native speaker identity as deficient was observed in 56% of L1 instructor videos, 47% of L1 instructor videos, and a surprising 70% of L2 instructor videos. For this presentation, I'll be focusing on benchmarking native pronunciation and framing non-native speaker identity as deficient when discussing the findings of research question 2. As I might not have time to go over establishing native speaker legitimacy. Something interesting is that L1 English instructors often position themselves as authorities on real English and emphasized native-like pronunciation as the ideal. While, as I said before, there's a surprising trend that L2 speakers more often framed non-native identity as deficient, despite occasionally resisting these ideologies promoting the principle of intelligibility. But this was very rare, at least in the corpus that I collected. So when it comes to research question 2, let's look at the strategies. So when it comes to when benchmarking native pronunciation, instructor use core linguistic strategies such as directives or urging viewers to sound native. Examples include, for instance, things like stop saying the letter A this way, don't do this if you want to improve your English pronunciation, or stop saying that is bathroom, and things like this. They also employ rhetorical or exhortative questions, echoing marketing tactics such as want to sound more like an American, And these tactics position instructors as authorities, creating hierarchical dynamics. And they also frame native-like pronunciation, specifically neurotypical accents, as essential, thereby reinforcing nativeness ideologies. But when it comes to multimodally, these points are reinforced through various cues. For instance, embodied cues include facial expressions, voice modulation, and gestures. L1 instructors often display, for instance, exaggerated disapproval. An example is offered here, but this image of a video where the content creator raises their lip in a sneer expression contempt while highlighting a common mistake students make. But also the other visual cues are used, such as red crosses, warning symbols, or red text to mark mispronunciations, while green checks, with green check marks, in some cases, IPA transcriptions, or highlighted text are used to signal correct forms. Auditory cues are also present, also featured, such as wrong answer sound effects, similar to TV game shows that are used to dramatize errors, and they add additional weight and signal a clear divide between acceptable and unacceptable pronunciation. And an image examples shows, yes, I'm sorry, I already mentioned the example. And in turning to research question 2, multimodal strategies, always talking about multimodal strategies and embedding of linguistic ideologies. There's also another practice that I found. As I said before, I'm not going over all the practices. I'm going to focus on this one. So this on the one that I mentioned before and this one. So another practice that I found is the framing of native speaker identity, as I said before, as deficient. So basically, some creators explicitly ridicule for inaccented English, and L2 speech is framed as something that must be fixed in order for it to be acceptable. And typically, what happens is that common L2 pronunciation traits, such as, for instance, adding the e before words starting with an s, such as imitating native speakers of languages like Spanish, adding an e in front of words like student, like a student. But also starting using the rolled r are typically exaggerated or caricatured in this videos. And this framing is often achieved through stage power dynamics. So, for instance, videos frequently feature role plays, like teachers versus students scenarios, where native-like speakers are in positions of authority and they're the teachers. Errors in these skits are often met with sarcasm, mockery, or disapproving expressions. Furthermore, creators use stereotyping through performance. This involves, for instance, using props like wigs and exaggerated accents to mimic L2 English speakers' accents, often reinforcing cultural or linguistic stereotypes. And these performances, unfortunately, reduce L2 users to simplified caricatures. Additionally, instructors often adopt professional attire in this skits, such as blazer or glasses, to signal their authority, further emphasizing the power imbalance with their students compared with their students. And an example image here that you have here it shows a content creator wearing a black curly wig, embodying a stereotypical L2 student with a Spanish accent. And on the other end, the students are, as I said before, representing as like kids or naive. Now, in conclusion, this study shows that TikTok content can indeed reflect and amplify dominant language ideologies. And our critical examination in English pronunciation videos, my critical examination in English pronunciation videos revealed hidden ideologies and the multimodal strategies used to embed them. And the videos that were analyzed in this study reinforce the nativeness principle, mirroring long-standing norms from ELT contexts. And an important concern to address is that L2 learners often engage with these videos without recognizing the underlying ideologies being perpetuated. So in this sense, this study underscores the critical need for critical digital literacy, involving helping students critically evaluate the digital content they consume and enabling them to understand how language, visuals, and design work together to shape meaning. Now, how can we implement CDL, critical digital literacy in practice in the classroom? So we can take several forms. This might include, for instance, critical analysis, like guiding students in analyzing how language, visuals, and design collaborate to shape meaning. And this can be linked with readings on language ideologies and power dynamics in ELT, for instance. We can also ask students to engage in critical reflection, promoting reflective writing or discussion, where learners can explore their own English learning experiences and unpack hidden messages in digital content, but also student-created content. So, for instance, scaffolding projects where learners create digital texts that actively challenge stereotypes that are typically found in this type of content online. And this could also involve some sort of a multimodal counter storytelling to promote advocacy and identity exploration. And engaging in these practices could build learner agency, awareness, and foster critical engagement with language, both in digital and in offline spaces. Now, in turning to the limitations of the study, and future directions, this study relied solely on video content without triangulation via interviews. This means it lacks insight into the content creator's intention and the contextual factors behind their choices, and the multimodal orchestration of their videos. So future research could definitely benefit from including interviews with creators to validate and deepen these findings. And researchers could investigate how their educational background, teaching experience, and personal ideologies shape their practices. On another note, just to conclude, I wanted to say that I'm sorry I have to pack a lot of information and to cut things out because of time limitations, but I hope that you find this presentation interesting. And I really thank you for your time and attention, and I'm happy to take any questions you might have. And you can also reach me via email and find more information about, you can also find more information about my research on ResearchGate. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, and I'll have a great conference.